Hey folks, Jimmy here, aka Palette of the Dead. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to the latest issue of Warhammer Age of Sigmar Stormbringer magazine. Now, as per usual with all these videos, if you like them, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and of course, drop me a comment down below. I love hearing back from you guys. It goes a massive way to helping out the channel too. Now, this week we're on issue 54, and we get two relatively smaller sprues for the 6 sneaky snufflers from Gloomspite Gitz range that we get. So these are the guys that are kind of walking, for lack of a better way of terming it, be kind of a sniffer dog style squigs with the larger snouts. They're pretty cool. I quite like the look of these guys. They look quite fun, so I am looking forward to getting going with these guys because they could be really good fun to paint up and a bit more enjoyable, and it adds an extra dimension to your Gloomspite Gitz. So if you're building up Gloomspite Gitz army, very handy to have. So yeah, pretty cool, pretty different. Why not? Bit of fun in it, really. So really good stuff there. Then we're going to move into the issue as per usual, and first off we are greeted by the Maggot Kin of Nurgle. So, revelling in their own afflictions, the Maggot Kin of Nurgle march to the dull tolling of rusted bells, bringing disease and damnation to all they meet. They aim to transform the lands into festering gardens of pestilence and decay as a tribute to their god, who they lovingly refer to as Grandfather Nurgle. So, amid a cloud of flies and putrescent thug, the Maggot Kin of Nurgle squelch into battle. Encouraged by the merry japes of those afflicted with a disease known as the chortling murrain, and the agonised plague bearers of the army bring terror, disease and death to the enemy with their foetid plague swords. Meanwhile, the spoilpox scriveners and tallymen of an army meticulously record the infliction of Nurgle's many diseases upon the unfortunate foe. So, as you may or may not already know, the Maggot Kin of Nurgle are the followers of Nurgle, or Grandfather Nurgle. Nurgle has this habit, especially in Gyron, of kind of infecting glades and gardens and having the Garden of Nurgle and trying to expand it all the time and kind of bring its pestilence and disease and decay to pretty much every corner of, especially the realm of life, because, you know, it's Nurgle. Nurgle likes to do that. Although you'd think because it's all about disease and decay, Nurgle is technically an army of the force of life in a roundabout way, in a very twisted way. It's all about a twisted growth and stuff such like that, so it's all along them lines, so it's a bit weird, but yeah, kind of, it's a life army but a death army at the same time. So yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, they're really cool. They utilise a lot of imagery of flies as well, so as you can tell, the bat is designed to look like a fly bat shield here. So you have the 2 eyes, and then you have the body, and then you have the wings. So a lot of that type of kind of imagery is utilised within the followers of Nurgle. Pretty cool. I do kind of like painting them. They're quite fun because you can get some really disgusting kind of looks out of them. So if you are going to go with Nurgle, in all honesty, get yourself a pot of Typhus Corrosion. You can do it put a bit of that over any of the metallic areas, and then a bit of like Rise of Rust or anything like that you can go over the top with. You can kind of get that rusty, grimy look out of it. So you can do that with a lot of metalwork, which looks really good, and you can kind of get it looking like that then. So, but yeah, it's always one way of doing it. You get a little bit of information as well, so it's all about decay, regrowth and bountiful gifts. So obviously there are a lot of gifts that Nurgle likes to bestow upon his followers, and yeah, I don't think a lot of people would like them, so it's not the most fun. Some of their followers do have their guts hanging out because, yeah, it is what it is, but yeah, Nurgle's always a bit of an interesting kind of faction within the mortal realms. Then we move on, we get information to do with the realm of death, so it's all about afterlives and underworlds, and in all honesty, when I opened that picture, it just, for some reason, it gave me images of good old Ghostbusters, because, you know, why not? So Shyish contains the many underworlds to which the spirits of the dead are sent. The underworlds are formed from the beliefs of the souls who arrive there. If they expect a paradise, they get one. If they expect damnation, Shyish obliges. But Shyish is not a realm of the dead alone, and many mortals live alongside the departed. So, there are many crusaders within Shyish, and the Stormbringer Crusades have still ventured out from the new city to kind of establish new cities of Sigmar throughout even Shyish, the realm of death. A lot of them encounter many of the forces of death, including the Nighthorns, Soulblight Gravelords, the Ghouls and the Flesh Eater Courts, and of course the Ossiarch Bone Reapers, and there is contingents of Stormcast Eternals that reside predominantly in Shyish. So, and they have a bit of a morbid kind of history as well. But anyway, quite interesting stuff there. You get a bit more information about the Ossiarch Empire, the Land of the Dead, Land of Dead Heroes, Land of Ghosts, and the Flesh Eater Kingdom as well. So if you are interested in Flesh Eater Kingdom as well, obviously they've had a lot of new releases, including Usharan, the new Mortarch of Delusion, which is pretty cool. If you like Nighthaunt and Ghosts, then obviously you can go down that route, which we had with Mortal Realms magazine last time round. And obviously you have the Ossiarch Bone Reapers, who are the kind of the skeletal warriors, the very martial skeletal warriors of Nagash, and then you have a lot of others as well. But anyway, if you want more information about, well, kind of how to get started any army within the Age of Sigmar, then there is a series of videos that I've been releasing gradually. A few more episodes left to release, including the ones about death, which are recorded, not edited, and Chaos will be finishing very, very soon. Anyway, pretty decent stuff. I do like the Forces of Death, they're always good fun. Then moving on, obviously we get a page for our sneaky Snufflers. So you get information about the Snuffle Squig traits, so you can roll to give them that if you wanted to. So whether, you know, these Snuffle Squigs ate an entire harvest of loon caps and are particularly vicious and aggressive, or maybe, you know, they were trained by chasing snotlings who were carrying loon cap mushrooms and such like. You can have a bit of traits with them, so you can have a little bit of information and a bit of kind of play with them to kind of, you know, make them a bit more unique and a bit more your own. Because why not? You get information about, obviously, Bad Moon Rising, as per usual as well with them. You can do the unit traits, and you can also give them their unit name as well. So, you know, with things like your standard grot, so it's not worth naming the individual grots, because you're going to end up with loads of them. So, maybe you can if you wanted to, but so why not? Anyway, moving on, you get your build guide. Build guide's relatively simple. There are quite a few steps to do, so it's all about kind of getting it right and getting that balance right. So you do have different heads, so you can put different heads on different bodies, different squig heads on different squig bodies, so you get a handful of each. It's up to you how you go about doing it, but yeah, have a bit of fun with it. Why not? It's all good fun, isn't it? But then again, building it fairly straightforward. Personally, I would be tempted to paint them off the base, so do them kind of separate, so have them in kind of sub-assemblies, so paint up your squig on its own, paint up the grot on its own, and then put it all together, but it's always your choice, as per usual. So if you do want to go through painting it all in one go, and one fully built thing on the base, then yeah, you got your paint guide. So the paint guide, actually, I do fairly agree with. It's a pretty decent one. So it's not too bad. There's a few little bits that I would add to it, and a few little kind of blemishes and changes and different ways of doing things. So, you know, with your mushrooms, you can change the colours. You don't have to do them van colours. If you want to get them to give it a little bit of brightness or anything like that, you can do if you wanted to. It's your choice, though, at the end of the day. But yeah, it's fairly decent. It's a fairly decent paint guide. It does work. The paint scheme is pretty good. The squig's a little bit too dark, in my opinion, and it needs something like something to give it a bit more oomph and brighten it up and give it a bit more colour, which I'm guessing we'll probably get at some point later on, maybe. But yeah, it's not bad. not a bad paint scheme, so it does work very, very well. Then obviously we have our War Scroll for the Sneaky Snuffler, so they do have 2 wounds, they can move 5 inches, and the Grot obviously carries a sickle, and the Gnashers of the good old Squig can do a little bit of damage as well, so you get 2 different attacks as well with them, so you know, as long as you're within range. And you get a bit more information, so you get a bit more on how to utilise off their heads, and the idea of balloon cap mushrooms and such like as well, so a bit more of that. Then you get your tactics for the Uthari's Guardians, which I must admit I've still not built one, but yeah, you get a bit more of their tactics and how to utilise those, and the same with Spirit of Durfu, so they're always very decent pages to kind of have at hand to kind of, or at least to have a look through, just kind of really read up of how to utilise them, which is always pretty good. And then we have our battle plan, so Forged in War, the Motherlode. Obviously this is going to be a bit more Cadron Overlord, so obviously you're doing your usual, you pick your 2 heroes, you pick your 4 troops, and the same with that. So you can have your Sneaky Snufflers, you can not have your Sneaky Snufflers, you can play it multiple times with different combinations of armies, and see how it goes, so why not? Otherwise though, you've got your territory, you've got, you know, fair bit on there as well, so keep you pretty much going, and yeah, have a bit of fun with it. Then we have objective markers printed on the back page. Now the idea with these, if you do want to utilise these, then personally I would make sure you get yourself some card, so whether it's the back of an old cereal box, if you want to go proper old school Blue Peter style, or if you're going to go for the kind of more professional style, get yourself some art card or something like that from a stationer's, and glue this down onto them, so you can utilise the page if you wanted to and glue them down and cut round them, or you can cut round them and glue them onto the discs, although that'll be more of a pain in the ass, but yeah, your choice. Otherwise though, you can create different objective markers and you can make your own essentially, so you could have bits of sprue to kind of build it up like it's a little building, or I don't know, if you've got, you can get yourself some 3D printed bits and pieces that you can utilise, or even some spare parts. So if you've got like some spare shields and swords and such like that, and you want to clean them up and kind of utilise them, you could always put them down on a base and get yourself some spare bases or something like that, and then do them that way if you wanted to. Your choice though, as per usual. Now on to next week. So next week, more scenery. We get the Domicile Shell, we get information about the 10 Paradises and the Terrible Wastes, and then in issue 56 we get Thundrix Profiteers, which is one of the Warhammer Underworlds warbands, which is pretty cool. We get the Cadron Overlord's Code and new battle plan in there as well. So happy days. Now that is it from me for this week, for this issue, and I will see you next time. Bye bye now.